1934, King Alexander I of Yugoslavia was assassinated during a state visit to Marseille. His son Peter II, being a minor, was not immediately able to ascend to the throne. Instead, Alexander's cousin, Prince Pavle, took the role of regent until Peter came of age. During Prince Pavle's rule, Yugoslavia faced increasing political and territorial challenges. In an attempt to maintain neutrality, Pavle pursued a policy of balancing relations with both Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. However, this proved difficult as external pressures mounted, particularly with the growing influence of the Axis powers in Europe. In March 1941, under intense pressure from Germany, Italy, and Hungary, Prince Pavle unwillingly signed the Tripartite Pact, aligning Yugoslavia with the Axis powers. This move was met with widespread dissatisfaction from the public and internal opposition, especially from the military. In response to the signing of the pact, a group of Yugoslav military officers carried out a coup on March 27, 1941, to overthrow Prince Pavle and align the country with the Allies. King Peter II, now 17 years old, was declared of age, and a new government sought to reverse the alignment with the Axis. However, the German military swiftly reacted to the coup and launched Operation Punishment, invading Yugoslavia on April 6, 1941. The country lost to the overwhelming force of the Axis powers, and within a short period Yugoslavia was occupied and dismembered. When the country got occupied, King Peter II left the country and escaped to Great Britain. The events surrounding the death of Alexander, Prince Pavle's rule, and the following invasion left a lasting impact on Yugoslavia, contributing to the complex dynamics that unfolded during and after the Second World War. When Adolf Hitler entered Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, he was welcomed with bouquets of flowers and an atmosphere of wide excitement by the Croatian public. During the Axis occupation of Yugoslavia in World War II, the country experienced significant internal divisions. The independent state of Croatia, also known as the NDH, Nezavisna Država Hrvatska, as it was called in the native language, was established in April 1941 under the leadership of the Ustasha, a fascist and ultranationalist movement. The NDH was a puppet state that ruled over Croatia and lands that were predominantly populated by Serbian population, such as Slavonia, Dalmatia, Bosnia, and Herzegovina. The state was largely under the influence of Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. The Ustasha regime, led by Ante Pavelic, carried out atrocities against various ethnic and religious groups, with a focus on the Serbs. The Ustasha implemented brutal policies including mass arrests, deportations, and massacres. The NDH aimed to create an ethnically pure Croatian state, leading to widespread persecution and violence against Serbs, Jews, and Roma. The resistance against the Axis occupation included two main factions: the Yugoslav Royal Army, commonly known as the Chetniks, and the partisans led by Josip Broz Tito. The Chetniks, initially led by Draža Mihailović, were the first in the world to rise against the Axis occupation. They rose on the territory of Ravna Gora in Serbia. That's why another name used for the military force was the Ravna Gora movement. The Chetniks were engaged in guerrilla warfare, sabotage, and rescue operations to protect civilians from Axis atrocities. Draža Mihailović, the Chetnik leader, emphasized a strategy of preserving Serbian lives, culture, and institutions. Despite internal conflicts and shifting alliances, most Chetnik units actively resisted the Axis occupation and collaborated with the Allied forces. Peasants, who formed the partisan movement for the most part, were motivated by a deep attachment to their local communities and a refusal to live under foreign rule. The harsh conditions of occupation, along with the brutal policies of Axis powers, particularly the Ustasha regime in the independent state of Croatia, fueled the partisans' resolve to fight for their homeland. They adapted communism as their ideological preference, since they were peasants for the most part, and saw it as an ideology that supports the needs of the workers. Milan Nedić, a Serbian general, created a Serbian government under German rule to reduce the suffering of Serbs. Nedić's administration aimed to protect Serbian civilians. Although he was collaborating with the Axis occupiers, his main goal was the protection of Serbian civilians. That's why he named the Serbian state the Government of National Salvation, as it was focusing on saving the Serbian nation. He was willing to sacrifice himself in order for his people to stop suffering. The Serbian Volunteer Corps, led by Dmitry Ljotić, were an anti-communist, collaborationist military group, therefore having many operations against the Yugoslav partisans on the Serbian-occupied territory. Its main role was saving Serbs and maintaining stability within the Serbian state. Therefore, it was directly supported by Nedić. The organization had conducted operations against the Ustasha, aiming to protect Serbs from persecution by bringing them to Serbia and saving them in that way. Despite these efforts, the collaborationist nature of some Serbian factions remains a controversial aspect of Yugoslavia's wartime history. The Ustasha organized a brutal militia that actively participated in the persecution of Serbs. The Jasenovac concentration camp, operated by the Ustasha regime, was notorious for its cruelty. Thousands of Serbs, Jews, Roma, and others that stood against cruelty were killed through various gruesome methods, including mass shootings, torture, and forced labor. Jasenovac, established by the Ustasha regime, stands as one of the most horrific concentration and extermination camps, operating from 1941 to 1945 in the independent state of Croatia. It systematically targeted Serbs, Jews, and Roma. The camp complex comprised several sub-camps, with the main camp at Jasenovac serving as the administrative hub. Within its grim confines, prisoners endured forced labor, torture, and mass executions. The Ustasha authorities, driven by a genocidal agenda, employed various methods such as shooting, hanging, and the use of specialized killing squads. The Holocaust found a gruesome manifestation at Jasenovac, with the Croatian crematorium gaining infamy. Here, victims endured sadistic experiments and inhumane medical procedures before facing death. The camp's brutality marked it as a significant site of mass extermination in southeastern Europe. It's estimated that around 500,000 Serbs, 40,000 Roma, 33,000 Jews, 127,000 anti-fascist fighters, and 20,000 children were killed at Jasenovac. These figures highlight the deliberate targeting of specific ethnic and religious groups, contributing to the tragic narrative of this dark chapter in history. The term srbosjek refers to a type of knife or cutting tool used during World War II in the Jasenovac concentration camp by the Ustasha regime in the independent state of Croatia, translated as Serb cutter. It was a symbol of the brutal and genocidal policies implemented by the Ustasha authorities. The srbosjek was not a conventional knife. It had a distinctive curved blade designed for efficient and rapid killing. It was used by Ustasha guards and authorities to carry out mass executions, particularly targeting Serbian prisoners. The victims were often forced to kneel along the banks of the Sava River, where their throats were split with the srbosjek. This gruesome tool became a chilling symbol of the atrocities committed at Jasenovac embodying the cruelty and inhumanity of the Ustasha regime. The use of the Srbosjek exemplified the systematic and ruthless methods employed by the authorities to carry out their genocidal policies during that dark period in history. The term Srbosjek remains a haunting reminder of the brutal acts that were carried out at Jasenovac and the religious broader context of ethnic and religious violence during the Second World War. The general idea, as expressed by some prominent Ustasha officials, was to kill a third of the Serb population, deport a third, and convert the other third from Orthodox Christianity to Catholicism. Around 100,000 Serbs were converted to Catholicism. In fact, Croatian authorities were that crucial that even many German officers sent to Croatia were discussed by the Croatian acts. Some even tried to stop them. One of them was Edmund Gleis Horstenau, a general within the Austrian military and a respected Nazi leader who tried to stop the Croatian reign of terror. Despite the historical evidence and documented atrocities, it remains a sobering reality that to this day there are individuals in Croatia who deny or downplay the evil acts committed by their authorities at Jasenovac. The complex historical and political landscape has contributed to different perspectives and interpretations, creating a challenging environment for acknowledging the dark chapters of the past. Due to this unfortunate denial, Nazi ideology and Ustasha glorification still exists amongst the Croatian public today. Yugoslav partisans played a key role in crushing the independent state of Croatia during World War II. Through guerrilla tactics, they liberated territories and crushed the puppet state. Notably, the partisans from Kozara Mountain put an end to atrocities at Jasenovac's camp, contributing to the overall liberation of Yugoslavia. Events during the Axis occupation of Yugoslavia, including the actions of Ustasha regime and resistant movements, reflect a complex and tragic period in the country's history, marked by violence, collaboration, and efforts to protect various ethnic groups from persecution.